Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Everybody ready for the tornadoes and all this stuff today?
I hope not.
Yes, me too.
It says our storms will be here about 7. I don't know.
I think they're telling us 4 or 5 this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about our house because it's brick, but I worry about the horses and the barns and all that. They're
Yeah,
out in the stuff.
they'll be scared.
Yeah.
They get frightened.
Yeah, it's amazing how well they can hear. We
I was
have
gonna say
we
I was
have
gonna
a
say they have a sense about what's coming.
yeah, they're standing out there pointing their nose toward where the weather comes from.
Oh, yeah.
We have a neighbor that for one reason or another goes out and shoots. Hopefully he's just shooting into his field. I don't know what he's shooting, but boy, they really pay attention to that, man.
Mm.
And about 6 months, well, I don't know how long ago, 3 or 4 months ago, every time they went out into the pasture, they would turn and face in this direction. I've never seen him do before. I could not figure out what was going on. It turned out somebody had set up an illegal tree stand,
Oh,
a hunt on our property. We could not see them from where we are, but those horses knew that they weren't supposed to be there. And finally, I went over there and there was this guy up in the tree. I go, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm hunting." I said, "Well, not here." At least he didn't shoot me. I consider that a positive.
Yeah, my husband has to deal with people coming on our farm sometimes.
Yeah.
They don't think nothing about it. They just,
Come on.
But we have a neighbor that has kind of a path through his woods, like a trail or something, and it connects to our property. They have to cross over a creek, but they were just coming down that trail in their ATVs like crazy. And so we were able to convince him to put up a chain or a fence or a gate or whatever. And that seemed to work pretty well, at least so far. So. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm sure other people will show up. Welcome and glad to see everybody. Hope we're still here. I see Tom Morse is saying something here. Can you hear me now, Tom? Is it better? Am I coming off weird or something?
No, you look good to us.
But in terms of voice, is the audio cutting in and out?
No, you sound just like Mickey Mouse, like you normally do. So
Oh, good. Then I'm happy. So, Tom, it's all your fault. I don't know what the problem is. Good luck to you, buddy.
Tom, you should be thankful, man. You should be thankful not to hear him.
Yeah. You have to go back and watch the recording. Today is going to be kind of a different animal for you all, I think. But I think it might be enjoyable, hopefully. So, in a general sense, when you talk about starting a business or, this whole discussion about what is a small business and so forth, that kind of happens in my circles, my entrepreneurship circles that I participate in. So today we're going to talk about something that's kind of new on the scene, and it's kind of a whole new category. So one of the things that some of you may have in mind is that once you start making millions and millions of dollars, you're going to want to sell your company or your business to someone. And there are a lot of someones out there, different types of buyers, and I'm not going to go into all the different ones, but in general, it's been, if you're a startup that's focused on technology, then you might pursue venture capital. And that's a very specific kind of investor with a very specific kind of plan, which involves, really growing quickly and hiring lots of people and increasing revenue dramatically, even worldwide. Often that's related to some sort of technology, even like this Zoom that we're using today. I believe it's only about 3 or 4 years old as a company. And the owner just took out $6 billion out of the company and put in his personal account. Didn't even make a dent on the worth of the company. But that's an example of kind of fast growth and what that ends up as being. Well, the other side of the coin is really, which a lot of you deal with as small businesses, is bank loans, friends and family, maybe an investor here or there, where you're basically trying to get enough money to get to the place where your business, I don't know if survive's the right word, but thrive would be a better word, but you're trying to get to the place where your gross revenues exceed your gross expenses, and and show some kind of profit, which may in fact be your salary or your earnings, as opposed to paying back investors. There's a new category of business that's come about here, and we haven't spent a lot of time on this, but everybody here is, for the most part, has a website, has is working toward some sort of e-commerce angle, looking to grow their business. And one of the things that we haven't talked much about are the different channels that are available to you as a particularly an e-commerce business. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Amazon, but I'm also going to mention Walmart and eBay and some other places. These, what they refer to them in the business press is, they call them marketplaces. And what a lot of people don't realize about Amazon, when they talk about Amazon really being bad for small business and bad for communities, what a lot of people don't realize is that 70% of the revenue on Amazon.com comes from small business like you all. If you look on Amazon when you're buying something, lots of times it'll say sold by, and it'll be some weird name, it won't say Amazon, it'll say something else. And those are what are known as FBA customers of Amazon. And FBA means fulfillment by Amazon. So that means they have a website, they put listings up on Amazon, but when the actual sale goes through, the actual delivery to the customer service, all that is done by Amazon, FBA. And fulfillment by Amazon is just one of many programs that Amazon has for small businesses. But really, Amazon does a tremendous amount of business with businesses like many of you on here. And if you ever get a chance to look up your category, your products, your type of product, look it up on Amazon, and you can see what people like you are doing. Like in Jenny's case, she sells cheese straws. If you go on Amazon and put in cheese straws, you'll see 3 or 4 brands that are selling through Amazon. They're being fulfilled by Amazon, but they are in fact individual small businesses, just like many of you. I just happen to look up cheese straws because I'm working on some stuff for Jenny. So anyway, so today I'm going to talk about that. The way that you get involved with Amazon, there's a number of ways. Most of it is online forms where you apply and try to get accepted by the variety of programs that they have. And the knock is usually against Amazon is, man, they take a huge percentage. You start thinking about, these guys are going to take 30, 40, whatever the number is, all the way up probably to 70 or 80. But the way they look at it is, last year in 2020, 93% of Americans bought a product on Amazon. 93%. So there's a lot of people there. And that's just the United States. They also have people, all over the world, depending on your product category. So the kind of skills or the attributes that you need to be successful on Amazon are really carry over to anything else that you're doing, whether it's your Shopify store or your other sites that you're doing, your Facebook Live, whatever. A lot of it is the same sort of thing. It's basically putting the customer first, making sure that they're happy with the product, and really primarily one of the major things that Amazon focuses on is reviews. Many of you know, and you may do it yourself. My wife drives me insane with this. When everything she looks at, she reads the review, and I will say to her, look, they could have paid to have those reviews done. You don't really know. It doesn't really matter to her. She's still going to look at reviews. And I think that's fair to say that almost every online shopper puts at least some credence on reviews. Adding reviews to your Shopify site, if you're using Shopify, is possible. It's an extra cost to add that to your website, but it's really hard for me to imagine having an e-commerce website that doesn't have either customer testimonials and or reviews to help people. So if you think of Amazon as a giant marketplace and not as a company, think of it as the internet, right? It's just a giant place where people come to buy and sell stuff, and the population that uses that is in the multi-millions, in the hundreds of millions, probably, if you look across all of it. And so one of the things that's happened is, and I think this is partly because of the pandemic, but it was happening anyway, and that is that there are now 20,000 sellers on Amazon, like yourselves, that are grossing over $1 million a year. 20,000, okay? There are some that are making a lot more than that. So it's become a kind of an interesting play from an investment perspective. And what I'm going to share with you today is about a group that has agreed to be a guest speaker, but I haven't been able to nail down the date yet. But this is a company, and their name means something. I forget, something in Greek mythology. Thrasio, Thrasio is the name of the company. And Thrasio is 3 years old. And they have raised $1.7 billion in the last 3 years. Yesterday, they announced their 100th purchase of a Amazon sellers business. So they buy Amazon sellers, and it's a really simple business model. Really, they look for Amazon sellers selling between $1 and $3 million of revenue, and they generally pay 3 to 6 times revenue as the purchase price for that business. They also really would like, if you want to, they want the owner to stay involved. They do not want the owner to go away. That if the owner wants to go away, that's fine. But their orientation is really bringing in expertise to make your brand better. And you can still run it if you want to, working with them. On average, they increase the revenue of the companies they buy by 6 times. And we're going to look at a little bit about what they're doing. And my only reason for bringing this up and talking about it is I just want you to be aware that there are things out there, there are opportunities out there that maybe you didn't know about. Maybe you weren't really thinking about venture capital, or maybe you were thinking, I'm never going to sell this business. I'm going to keep it forever, whatever. As business people, you need to be aware of the landscape, what's out there, and be aware of the kind of the requirements to take advantage of opportunities that may apply to you. And so this is a new thing. Not a lot of people are talking about it. I consider it a whole new category, really on par or better than venture capital for most small businesses, because I personally think doing $1 million to $3 million in revenue online is something that all of you can do. It's not impossible. It's not like becoming a national brand or becoming a giant company. You can actually get there. And if these folks are, and there are other people like this, are out there, it's something to be aware of. So I did want to introduce you to it, and we can chat about it. So let me share my screen here, hopefully. Okay.
Dennis, what was the name of it again? How do you spell it?
THRASIO, Thrasio.
Thrasio. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna see plenty on it, so don't worry.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
so the first thing I'm going to show you is the video that they use as kind of an introduction as to what they are doing and who they are. So it's only about 3 minutes long, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
I've always wanted to build a company that would be remembered, in the sense that it represented a pivotal moment of thinking. That's what this has been.
We started with a very simple idea: buy third-party products and businesses from Amazon, but improve on them.
From day one, we all knew it was a huge opportunity, but none of us knew how fast we would get to where we are today.
It was an idea in a basement that turned into a teeny office next to a Dunkin' Donuts. That then became 3 offices in the States
and 2 overseas. We're a 9-figure Amazon business with dozens of brands underneath our stewardship.
It's an incredible concept, and we're working with some great brands here.
We're buying great products. They've risen up in the ranks. They've got 5,000 5-star reviews. Like, these are really solid products that these business owners have put a lot of work into.
A lot of the businesses that we do buy are just mom and pop shop owners, 1-2 person companies.
They've grown it to the point where they need someone else that has much more business experience to take over their brand and their baby. And that's where Thrasio fills a great void in the market.
Many people can acquire companies, but very few people can run a company. And Thrasio has solved for that.
You have to know how to navigate the Amazon ecosystem very well. And part of what we believe is unique about us is the system we're putting in place to bring on the brands, stabilize them, and then grow them.
I see what sort of forward-thinking direction that we can take the brands that we acquire. That includes, like, how are we going to repackage this to deliver a better product or experience to the public? How do we improve the creative to present something that's more aesthetically pleasing?
It gives me chills to think about some of these sellers where they've seen, oh my gosh, you've got my brand in retail, or you've completely redone the packaging, photography. They get to see their baby become this bigger brand than they even maybe thought possible.
On average, we've grown profitability 40 to 60+% with every acquisition we've done.
What's allowed us to continue our stream of success is really our team. We have the top experts in supply chain, marketing, brand creative. That's what separates us from the majority of Amazon buyers and operators.
Thrasio has the most intelligent people I've ever worked with. We're all extremely close. This is the most unique, fun, engaging, and exciting environment. Yeah, there's beer and there's nitro keg on tap and all that fun stuff, but at the end of the day, we're all marching towards a common vision.
If you help your neighbor, we're all going to win in the end, and that's what we're doing here at Thrasio every day.
Most importantly, I think we have interesting work.
Every day you're dealing with a different product. As someone who likes to play a lot of different sports, you get to do that here.
There's so many new challenges that come up. There's so many opportunities for growth. I have to say, this place is it's just a really exciting place to work. Entering the Amazon space was the biggest opportunity of this generation.
We're building the consumer products company of the next century, and we're building the best platform to own and operate in that ecosystem.
Thrasio has the potential to be a seminal company, a company that becomes a blueprint for how future businesses are built.
Okay.
Hey, before you get started, I have a question for you.
Thanks for
Wait.
joining the EconWiz podcast.
Sorry, hold on one second here. Sorry. Let me
today is
turn this off. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So since we're all in entrepreneurship type people, did anybody happen to notice the bang your head here sign in their main office?
No, but I can imagine that they exist, that's for sure.
It was a big red circle, said bang head here, right on the window.
Yeah, that's great.
I
Well,
didn't see it.
it's not easy. Everything's hard. I think that's pretty clear. But I did want to at least make everyone aware of options and possibilities that exist out there. And not the least of which in this particular case, forget whether you think this is a good idea, what they're doing or not. It just really points out the size and scale of the Amazon marketplace. It's supporting billions and billions of dollars of sales. So it behooves all of us to at least understand that and maybe take advantage of it. I also want to point out that Amazon has been really successful with this kind of aggregation of small e-commerce businesses that now other people are doing it also. So for example, all of you, I believe, would be eligible to add your products to Walmart.com. Walmart.com has an almost identical marketplace model now. They're copying Amazon. It has a lot of the same attributes. You can sign up for that and sell your products on Walmart.com. And they offer a range, I believe, of services all the way from you just list your product, but you actually ship it and deal with it, all the way up to fulfillment being done by Walmart. I believe eBay has a similar program, my understanding. I don't know if some of your products would make sense for Etsy. Etsy has traditionally been for little small handmade items, but they are now, their annual revenue has reached $1 billion or close to it. So it's obviously, maybe because of the pandemic and everybody moving online has just really quickly evolved some of these opportunities. And so as you think about how do you grow your business, how do you get customers, I think you should give some thought to some of these things that I'm talking about and realize that there are companies out there like Thrasio, and there's a bunch more. Thrasio is not the only one, but there's a bunch of companies out there that at the right time you might be interested in talking to as you decide what you want to do with your company long run. So I think it's fascinating myself that capital is being attracted to small e-commerce operations in a way that I don't think anybody ever really thought it would happen. Venture capital is almost always an insider group. They all know each other. They all went to the same schools. It's really difficult to break in that circle. But the circle is also somewhat limited in that the companies are almost all technology companies. But what we're seeing with the pandemic and with you all is that many other categories are opening up to online transactions, not just technology. A lot of consumer product goods, a lot of services, a lot of other things. You all weren't in the class last time, but we had and he's going to visit with us again, I hope. The CEO of Etsy gave a talk to us, and he started off by saying when he started, he thought he had to move to Silicon Valley and to have any chance of being a participant in this kind of gold rush of technology companies. And he said that is no longer true. He happens to be from Greenville. It just happens. And he said there's no reason why you can't. Yeah, there's no reason why you can't build a company in Greenville or really anywhere if you have broadband access. There's just no reason, nothing stopping you. And I thought that was very instructive. The example he gave when he was a kid growing up in Greenville, and some of you may know this, you may be from there. There was a large company. I want to say Sperry Univac. That may not be right, but somebody like that. And they had 5,000 employees in Greenville. So when this guy was growing up, I think his dad worked there. And he said then, like many companies with NAFTA, they closed up and everybody lost their job. 5,000 people lost their job all at the same time. And he said, so he started looking at, and he just picked Asheville, interestingly enough, which I thought was kind of cool. And he took a look at all of the craft breweries and distilleries that were around Asheville. And he figured out that if you could aggregate the employment, there was something like 90 of them at that time when he did the study. He said you would actually have more employment than Sperry Univac in Greenville. That the aggregation of these smaller operations are really the new way to do economic development. You don't need a giant factory or a giant plant from a big company to really move the needle. And so I thought, he said, why couldn't we have a community that had 20,000 Etsy contributors, right? That they all are making stuff for Etsy. And that was his context. But you could, in China, it's kind of interesting. One of the things that's happening in China, I'll just give you one example. So in the rural areas of China, which has been traditionally a very difficult place to earn a living, most of the people in rural China move to Beijing or Shanghai or one of the other places to get work, because there historically has been no jobs in the rural areas. Well, in this one rural area, which is along the seacoast, and they have a lot of fishermen, they have 10,000 people working, doing live streaming commerce for fishermen and farmers in that area. That's what they do for a living. And it's very successful. They're making a ton of money. They have another place, a couple other places. There is another website, I can't think of the name right now, in China, but it's kind of like Etsy. It's a similar kind of thing where they sell handmade stuff. And it's called Taobao, Taobao, Taobao. They've created Taobao villages in China where everybody works making stuff for Taobao. And that includes shoes, clothes, and they have over 100,000 people employed making stuff for the Chinese equivalent of Etsy. And almost all of that is in rural areas that have no other employment. So there are things happening around the world that are different than we've experienced in the past. And the opportunity really for growth is here for all of us. We just have to be thinking about, how are we going to do this so we can support it and not go insane. And ultimately, you have some options whether to exit out to a big company or to merge with somebody or partner with somebody. There's lots of things you can do in the future once you get your business up to a certain size. And that certain size, I would argue, is probably $1 million a year in revenue or more. It seems like a reasonable number from my perspective.
Question for you, Dennis.
What's that?
Yeah, I got a question for you. You were talking about some of those bigger marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart.
Yeah.
For us being a little bit more boutique-y, do you run into a danger of that sort of marketplace being a little bit off-brand, or is just in general, especially at a small size, that extra exposure and ability to sell generally a worthwhile compromise?
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that because I'm not 100% clear, how your brand would be discovered in those contexts, right? Like you're not going to tell people that you're on Walmart necessarily, but there may be so many people there that they find you, right? So I don't know how to answer that. My instinct would be if I had a boutique business, I wouldn't touch Walmart with a 10-foot pole. But at the same time, there may be completely different demographics at play here that I'm unaware of that you need to figure out how to reach. And keep in mind, you can pilot stuff. You don't have to sign up for the duration. You can do a pilot with a stop and a start and measure and maybe even engage with a product manager there to help you. Hey, what do you think? How can we do this? I look at, historically, we all have our biases, right? Walmart or, whatever. I don't know if any of that still applies or not. I think one of the things that's happened is people have clearly decided to buy stuff online. And then the next thing comes, do I trust this merchant, right? So that's what the whole review process is about. People they want to get a sense of who this is. If you're on a marketplace like Amazon or Walmart or eBay or whatever, your trust level goes way up. You're trusted just because you're on that marketplace. And there's no reason why you can't, once you get them as a customer, move them to your platform. You make it worth their while to buy from you on your website as opposed to Amazon or Walmart. It's really all about customer acquisition and about growth. How do you do that? And acquiring customers that trust you and will buy from you is not trivial. It's a hard thing to do. And we all know that can be really, really expensive. So trying these marketplaces might make sense. It's a manageable risk is the way I see it, as far as brand reputation. Some parts of the country, there is no alternative but Walmart. I don't care how much money you have. You're going to shop at Walmart. It's like here living in Pink Hill. I go to Walmart if I need anything, really, because there's nothing here. I mean, even the IGA just went out of business, right? So I have no alternative unless I want to drive to Raleigh or Greenville, and that's significant driving. So I had never been in a Walmart in my life until I moved here. I don't even think there are Walmarts in the DC area where I lived. I never saw one, never even heard of it. But here, they're everywhere. And, you'd have to be crazy not to go in to see what's going on. And if you have no alternative, you'll probably check out them or the dollar stores. They're everywhere around here. I think there's like 10 dollar stores in Pink Hill. There's more dollar stores than there are people, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what the hell they're buying, but they're buying, So the management of your brand, the quality of your brand is not like it was maybe historically, that had to do with physical location and the kind of, town or area that you're in. We're talking about a much bigger platform now. And, really truthfully, the other thing I'm going to expose you all to here shortly is selling in China and selling in other marketplaces, Western Europe. We can do that, and it may be worth doing. There may be certain niches where that makes a lot of sense. So it's just really about getting your platform together, figuring out what you're doing, make sure you're functioning, and then trying to grow and try to get customers to buy from you. And once you get a customer, however you get them, right? If it's through a marketplace or through something else, it's up to you to care and feed that customer so that they stay with you. However they got to you is one thing. It's once they get to you and they're buying from you, it's up to you to wow them with your support and your gratefulness that they're your customer. Any other thoughts, condemnations, criticisms? Joe, come on, you got to give me a hard time about something.
I already did. I already called you Mickey Mouse at the top of the call.
Oh, I thought that was a compliment. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing today? Yeah. Okay. Well, my point today was to really point out that there are some marketplaces out there that you might try, you get involved with, test it out, do a pilot project or promotion or whatever, and see if you can get some traction. I think you might be surprised what you can do when, if you get a chance to go to Thrasio's website, they'll list the 100 brands that they bought. And some of them are literally one-person businesses. I mean, they just, this one guy was selling coffee related stuff, right? He sells coffee pots, and it doesn't look very sophisticated, but he made $9 million selling to Thrasio. So I don't know. It's out there.
Hey, Dennis,
may get some insights.
I will add though on the topic of marketplace, and I think Zach, your question was about being a niche boutique kind of brand, being on Walmart versus and Amazon. How would that fit with you? There are other marketplaces out there that have no cost to be onboarded, no ongoing cost, no ad spend requirements, just a profit splitting model that are more boutique-y, that could fit for you guys. I mean, that's how I cover my expenses today, is just selling through third-party sites like touchofmodern.com, Goldbelly, iGourmet, Rue La La, Gilt. There's Foodland. There's just numerous ones out there that either focus on food or have a gourmet section to their domain, and they're more nichey. And so you may find some traction at worst case, some revenue that at least, you know, takes the edge off of your bottom line. So that way you can have some of your overhead covered.
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Zach.
Oh no, that's great to hear. Honestly, I don't know much about those. I'll be doing a little more research on that. What kind of cut do they normally take? Like, what's a normal ballpark?
There isn't a percentage. It's kind of, I don't really know what their math is on their back end. You just kind of, you know, factor in what you need to cover your cost of goods, and you know, if you're paying for shipping, then you factor that in plus whatever margin, and you just throw them a number and they'll tell you if you're too high or too low or whatever, and they just kind of eventually end up in a certain number. But I sell through all those. There's even like Shop HQ, which is the primary competitor for QVC on TV. They have both a website called Bulldog Network. That's a male-focused audience that has some TV channel exposure as well as website. But Shop HQ is mainly female targeted. I've been on there and I plan to go back on it in April, but they do the same thing where it's a drop ship model. So as long as you can fulfill and meet their SLAs, you could potentially get on air, and in a non-COVID environment, you could be on the set right there or do a virtual sort of call in, and they can sell your products right there through TV or through websites. So I would just try to think through drop ship. And sorry, Dennis, but I'll take it one step further to say, and I've had conversations with Paige on this too. I have a lot of connections with drop ship warehouses for food. If any of you all have interest, I can guide you into numerous ones that could be a good fit to help you with that drop ship, both ambient and frozen. So
that's fantastic.
I'd, yes, love to have some of that list and hear what some of those drop ship places, Joe.
Sure.
I think Joe is going to be a guest speaker here shortly, and I'm going to put him on the hook, and he's going to have to, you know, give a presentation and lay all this stuff out. Joe, let me ask you about Goldbelly. How has your experience been with them?
Mixed. It's a great. I mean, I love Goldbelly for what they stand for and what they do. It is probably the #1 gourmet marketplace out there, and they try to focus on, you know, the niche local brands. I will say though that you have the potential of being drowned out when it comes to other gourmet brands. Granted, it's a much less competition than going on to Amazon for sure, or Walmart. But that is where foodies go. The issue, well, what they say and what they do are two different things. You got to be careful with it. Some brands that are more established can leverage them to retain their own checkout cart through their websites. But what they've really been transitioning towards lately is finding, so we all travel, or at least we used to travel, right? And you go to New York or DC or any town, and there's always that place, right? Like the top 5 places, restaurants that you want to go eat to get crab cakes or a Philly cheesesteak or some baked good, right? They're trying to harvest as many of those touristy, gotta have it, hole in the wall places, and give them an online presence. That's who they're really targeting, but you can still get on board with them. However, they will typically ask you to share a shopping cart. So what that would mean is whatever site you have, Shopify, whatever platform, WordPress even, that the checkout experience when people go to your website, they end up, once they decide to check out, landing on a Goldbelly checkout page. It may be branded to your liking, but it's technically their checkout page. So what happens is they get a split, right? So where that's good is that you get profit sharing from anything that they source when it comes to traffic, conversions that they're paying for with their marketing spend. The downside of that is they get a cut of yours too. So that's when I broke with them and I stopped doing it, because when I first started, I needed that as sort of like a first gear on a bicycle. But then as I started to focus on building my own domain with boozdogs.com, I couldn't break even or even make money with my ad spend in order to justify that split. And so I went different ways with them, and I'm no longer on them. So that's why it's kind of modeled best for, like, Zach, for instance, like for your store, right? If you're focused on brick and mortar and you want to grow to a second location or grow your current location, it may be a perfect fit for you if you have no interest in focusing online. But if you're trying to grow your website, I would steer away from Goldbelly, because that profit split there with the shared checkout just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and that is, we've been focused these last few years on getting the brick and mortar the way we want. And now that it's, it's quite presentable, now it's like, all right, we need to generate this online thing to help, justify all this rent we pay downtown, and really get more out of our square footage.
Yeah. So I would steer away from Goldbelly, but all the other ones, I mean, yeah, there's profit splitting, but you're not paying for the marketing spend. You have no marketing spend. You just got to worry about fulfillment.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about here obviously is gourmet food, especially food, but there probably are marketplaces for all the categories that we represent. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll bet you there are.
Well, yeah. So like the Guilt.com and Rue La La and Touch of Modern, those three, they don't focus on food. They got workout equipment, they got apparel, they got all kinds of stuff. Gourmet is just a smaller subsection they're trying to grow. The only one I can think of, sorry Tom, is I don't know about plungers, but I don't know if there's a website equivalent, but other retail goods like that, those domains would not just be solely food for other folks. So
I do have one more question, and Dennis, I'll let you speak to if this is beyond the scope of what you want to get into here. But for drop shipping, I've always kind of steered away from that just because we're worried about perishability. For instance, our truffles, we'll say they're good for a month, but beyond that, many are good for 3 or 4 months. But I don't want to put my name on that. How is that really viable with that sort of shelf life?
Well, Joe probably can answer better than me, but there are all kinds of what do they call, Joe? 3PC, I think is the word that the people
3PLs, third-party
3PL.
logistics.
Yeah, there are guys out there that do it all, right? Somebody will do exactly what you need, Zach. I promise you. They may not be located in North Carolina, might be somewhere else, but I've noticed there's a lot in the Northeast, a lot of those kind of people supporting food businesses in New York City, Manhattan. They seem to have a lot of stuff in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, and in that part of Pennsylvania that cater to the kind of high-end gourmet food type of stuff. So it's doable. Those companies have grown like crazy during this pandemic, I know. There are some in North Carolina as well. I know there's a big one in Tarboro, North Carolina, that I can't think of their name right now, but that's a world that's out there, and there is somebody who can meet your requirements, I'm pretty sure. Wouldn't you agree, Joe?
Yes, but Zach, for you particularly, because your shelf life is so short, it's how you manage your inventory, right? So you got to find the right partner, which I can think of one for you right now. I can think of a slew of them for you, but the thing is you're going to want to find someone that doesn't have a lot of storage fees and allows smaller inventory, smaller volume, because for you just can't produce like pallets worth, like full pallets worth, and have it stored there for 6, 9, 12 months, right? You got to move that stuff in less than 30 days. So unless your velocity is really high you just manage that by having lower production, and you just produce very small amounts. Whatever you think you can sell in 30 days, you ship it to them, they warehouse it, and it moves, and you just keep replenishing it over and over and over again to keep that cycle. And then of course, as your velocity grows, then you can grow that inventory with them. But you want to find someone, you don't want to do that if someone's charging you $20, $30, $40 a month per pallet, and you're not getting the velocity, then it's probably not worth it. But I can think of answers for you on that.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, all of these things are really questions of growth, in my opinion. They're all things that if you want to grow where you're at today, you're going to have to do some things differently if you want to grow. And third-party logistics is a big part of that, depending on your product. There are a lot of issues that Joe just pointed out, but it's all doable. And an example in the video that we watched, there's 100 companies that figured that out and sold out for a big, multi-million-dollar multiple. So it's doable, and we'll do anything we can to help you. I know Joe will be happy to share what he knows, and some of you have been doing this for a long time. We welcome your comments on the Slack channel. If it's some suggestions of companies or links, that would be great. But
so since you're talking about perishability, I think I have the fastest perishable item up here in a 7-day, at most a week, some maybe 2 weeks, but most microgreens are a week long. Turning that around to a wholesaler or even a wholesaler like US Foods or a distributor like that, it's practically impossible to do that. Now, some of the other stuff I grow, hydroponic lettuces and greens, those have a longer shelf life. But the microgreens, which is what I started with, is a 7-day perishable.
Right.
You got to drop it and go and be back in 7 days if they want more. How would you even consider, or would there be a consideration for a place that would not necessarily put it in a warehouse and sell it for me, but be that marketing place?
Oh, I'm positive they exist. I don't know any off the top of my head. I know that on the West Coast, there's a number of companies like yours that are shipping nationwide. So they figured out something. So it may not be a great answer at this point in North Carolina, but there's somebody out there who is oriented toward doing that. I feel pretty certain, and maybe the folks at the Specialty Food Association in North Carolina might know, who would be good in North Carolina for that kind of thing. That's off the top of my head, or maybe the Department of Agriculture. I'm not sure.
I'm tied in tight with the Department of Ag here in my area, not at the state level, but here I'm a Farm Bureau board member as well, so I'm tied tight to the ag community.
Good.
But our ag community is not in my world; it's in the soybean and corn and
yeah.
the
I
pig
tell you,
world.
One person I'd recommend to you is Debbie Hamrick. You know Debbie?
Oh, I know Debbie very well. She's the chair of my she is our hired representative for the chair of the board that I sit on.
Yeah, Debbie is her title is specialty products for the Farm Bureau. That's what she specializes in.
And I am a specialty crops board member for Washington County, a representative from Washington County for specialty crops.
Well, she knows everybody and everything. So get her on the phone and tell her I told you to call her if that helps. It might hurt you. I don't know. We are on the
Debbie's
North
good
Carolina,
people.
We're on the North Carolina Rural Center board together, and we sit next to each other and constantly get in trouble for talking and laughing and doing stuff we're not supposed to do. So
Debbie, no.
Yeah,
no,
I know.
not
She
Debbie.
never. Don't tell her I said that. She'll be so embarrassed. But she's great, and she's been very helpful to this program and talking up what we're doing. But if anybody knows, she would know someone who knows. That would be the way I would look at it.
She gave me some advice when I first started with the microgreen stuff, some direction.
Right.
But microgreens, even to her, was kind of a new world.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it, Patrick?
This is my 4th year.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of changes, I think, particularly with this pandemic.
Yeah.
In the growth of online. You may see there may be some opportunities that didn't exist when you first started. I'm
He's
not
got
sure,
some
but
unique-
so, anyone else got any thoughts?
No, there's one more. Joe, I would like to get maybe some of your lists, but there's one more. Have y'all heard of FAIR, FAIRE?
I'm very familiar with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
FAIR is in fact, that's going to be one of our classes. I'm going to talk about FAIR and Sprocket, and there's a handful of companies that are doing that kind of B2B wholesale type stuff. FAIR is very high end, very high quality operation. They raised a ton of venture capital, and I know it's a good operation. Do you use them, Jenny?
Yes, they reached out to me. I don't know how I got into it, but they don't, I like them. I mean, they take about 25% and you drop ship to where we're talking about drop shipping.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of orders, 48 units, 50, 60, whatever, doesn't matter. A lot of places in California.
Yeah, I believe it.
So that might appeal to all of y'all.
Yeah.
Again, it's the name of it's FAIR, FAIRE. So
yeah, FAIR is good. I know Vivian Howard uses them for her products.
oh yeah, there. Yeah.
She uses FAIR. I haven't talked to her about it lately, but they've got a great reputation, but there are more than one of those. There, again, because of all the growth in the online, I think you're seeing lots of options, but there is something out there that will match your brand and your situation. And, it's hard to predict in advance what's going to work and what isn't. Most of you are in a situation where you're kind of at the early part of the curve, where you're trying to build brand awareness and get some action going. So it's worth casting the net out that you can manage and check some of this stuff out, and then get rid of the stuff that, like Joe described, starting with somebody, then dropping it because it was too high a cut or whatever. And that's something that, you can do. Nothing is forever. You can try stuff and see how it works and then adjust accordingly.
Patrick, you might want to look into getting a membership of the North Carolina Specialty Foods Association, which is what Dennis recommended. It could really help in your whole situation. You'll have a lot of contacts.
All right. Dennis, do you have a link to them or just easy to search?
I'll post you a link.
Okay.
They're part of the Department of Agriculture. Specialty Food Association is actually run by the Department of Agriculture. It's a separate group or whatever, but it is still within their world. So I'll put the link in. Patrick, have you signed up for Slack? Are you able to get stuff there?
Yeah, I'm on there.
I'll put it in the Slack channel and you can see it. But yeah.
Well, I'll bring that up to my local ag, which is Wendy Hardison in Washington County, and find out what she knows about it as well. But I'll check it out from the link.
Yeah, if you go on their website, you'll see that many of the statewide brands are members of that, and have seemed to have gotten. The board is made up of specialty food purveyors. It's not government people; it's people who actually are in these businesses. So I think it can be helpful, and I've had good luck. I happen to know a number of the people individually, so I know they're pretty good folks. So I'll put that in the Slack channel.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
It's easy to join. It's easy to join Specialty Foods. So yeah, it'll probably help out a whole lot. There's a lot of good information there, but it's really easy to join. Are you a member of Goodness Grows in North Carolina or Got to BNC?
No, my business is not part of that yet. My father's is. My dad is a commercial beekeeper right here in Roper, and he is part of that. And I've been looking to get to be part of that, but I have not done it yet.
Okay, you have to be. It used to, and I guess it's still the same. You have to be a member of Got to BNC or Goodness Grows before you become a member of Specialty Foods. But they can tell you all that. But it's worth joining.
All right. Sounds good. I would be looking into that.
Hey, Danielle.
Anybody else have anything interesting or even boring? Anything?
The logistics provider you were trying to think of in Tarboro is Kanban Logistics.
Yes. Yeah, they've got a great reputation. I have not dealt with them personally, but it's come to me multiple ways that they're good people. I don't know. Joe, have you dealt with them?
No, for various reasons, nothing bad. Just I think it's just some certain strategies and related to expanding beyond North Carolina that I haven't.
Okay, I got you. Okay. All right, folks. Well, that's all I got for today. See you on Monday, same time, same station. Hopefully we'll have Mike Amon as a speaker. Some of you may know him. He's a good guy, entrepreneur, success story out of Greenville, homegrown. And he's a great speaker. So hopefully we'll be able to do that on Monday.
Thanks so much.
Stay safe
Thanks,
with all
Dennis.
the
Thanks,
tornadoes
guys.
or whatever.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis.
Dennis,
all.
Dennis, Dennis,
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is, this was many years ago. Is your wife's, does she have a sister named Betty?
No.
Okay.
She has a sister named Jenny, just like you. It's actually Jenny Lynn.
Okay.
And two brothers. There's a whole nother Maxwell family in Goldsboro that has a Maxwell mill and all that, Butterball.
Okay.
That's a different branch of the Maxwell family. There happens to be, her name is Glenn Elizabeth. She goes by Elizabeth. And there is an Elizabeth Maxwell in Goldsboro, and they both went to Peace College at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this Maxwell had a place down at Atlantic Beach. I used to go down there a lot, but
Okay.
anyway, had not made that. I just want to ask because I think she's around that area. That's all.
Okay. No. All right. Well, thanks.
Okay. Thank you for the class.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.